we're going to dive into La Colorada and the veins specifically to start with. I've got some technology, so cross fingers it all works. And really the idea is to give you an overview of where we are, the local geology, and then dive into some of the results that we were happy to release yesterday after market. So with that, we'll get started. And as you know, we're in Mexico. We're going to zoom into just Zacatecas, and we're sort of on the west side. Durango sitting over here. And when we look at the regional geology, we're in the Sierra Madre. This is a prolific silver belt, and we are looking at all of the different deposits sitting around us. You have San Martin 30 kilometers away, and that's a skarn deposit. Here we're zooming in. We've got these limestones in the green with these lower volcanic complex, which is where all these silver deposits are sitting in the Sierra Madre. And then over to the west, we've got these upper volcanics, which I'll explain in a bit more detail as we go into the local geology. Again, we're looking at a large concession package of around over 8,000 hectares, and in the center we're sitting there in La Colorada. We're going to zoom now into where we are in the mine itself, and overlay some of the local geology, where I'll pause it there. Limestone's in the blue, sitting over to the west. The red are the veins, the main veins. We've got Recompensa, Amalio, the HW vein going into the NCs, and really that target zone over to the east that I'll explain some more when we get to it slightly in this presentation. And the new Christina vein sitting to the south. And some pleasing results from that as we've started to drill this area. So now we're going to sort of zoom into the sort of infrastructure, and I'll help Steve out here a little bit in terms of, got the Ross Beatty shaft sitting in the center there where most of the production comes up and down. We've got the tailings down to the south. We have an oxide plant, the sulfide plant sits next to it, and the new Guadalupe shaft sitting over to the east there. The access comes in from the side, as we can see. So La Colorada, 86 million ounces of reserves at the moment. That was the update over in 2023. And really we've shown strong growth of this mine as we've drilled. I mean, Mike prior to me, drilling through the 2010 up until when I came on in 2016, and we continued that 20 to 30,000 meters drilling a year. We did have a decrease in the reserves mid-year last year, which we're updating this year. And that was really a combination of, we did find stuff, we were drilling, we were finding additional reserves. However, increasing costs, increase in widths, mining widths, et cetera, dilution, et cetera, which all made us, and historic reserves, which weren't ever going to get into the life of mine production, which has always been constantly updated. So there was a decrease. We're still sitting at 86, and it's, hopefully in this presentation, we're going to show that we've still got growth opportunities as we move through. So now we're going to dive into sort of the 3D portion of the videos. And again, those main structures. The black lines here is all the infrastructure that we have. And you've got the shaft in the middle, the Ross Beatty shaft, the Candelaria, Estrella mines, which we talk about a lot, and Steve will talk about as well. And all that exploration that we're targeting is now focused over on that east portion of Candelaria and the NC2 extensions. Here we have obviously a lot of the channel sampling and all of that silver grade being shown there. So one thing to bear in mind, when you're looking at these 3D images, you are going to see the veins as looking rather large. However, you have to remember that these veins are sort of 0.5 to 2 meters wide. As you look at this in 3 dimensions, you see along the plane, and they look larger than they actually are. So just bear that in mind when you look at the skarn, that we're going to show you where that sits compared to the veins, and how the veins look compared to the skarn. The skarn is, a huge deposit, hundreds of meters in drill depth of mineralization. So here we're looking at a cross section through all of the different structures, and the skarn sitting down at depth 800 to 1,000 meters below depth. We're going to spin this round, and the dark drill traces you're seeing is some of the recent drilling that we're doing. I've just put on there some of the projections of some of these new structures that we're now finding in La Colorada, which which we're all very excited about, and the press release highlights. We've just done a 360 around it. Again, we're seeing that skarn, which we're going to describe in future in a presentation after Steve. So Christina, a new structure that we've defined in recent drilling in several years ago. We're looking now at this eastern area, which is really the target area, which is the projection of the NC2. And having drilled through, when we're drilling through, we're finding additional splay structures, which is very common in these sort of vein systems. So the NC2 extension, we released some great results this year. We're looking at around 300-meter depth profile of this, over 200-meter wide extension, and it's still open to the east. These are some of the great results. 3.6 meters over a kilo with good base metal, 2.2 at 5.9 kilos, and again, good base metal. So, really great results from the NC2 extension, and certainly this is where the mine will be moving towards. So while we were drilling that, we hit an additional structure, the Mariana, again, sort of 250 meters in vertical, a couple hundred meters in extension, and again, all open to the east. And again, what we've proven here is that these are all very silver-rich structures. And again, this was in the press release, and we'll just highlight some of those results: 0.7 at 2.6 kilos, 2 at 689. So again, when you're drilling through it, it had a specific objective, and then you're starting to hit these splay veins. This just adds additional excitement, certainly for the geology team. So now what we're going to do is we stepped out, and some of the drilling, so the 903, which is one of our larger skarn ore bodies, sits over to the east. We were drilling that with SO5. We knew that we had another set of structures, the San Geronimos. We hit those, and we also stepped further south and hit the Christina, which is, again, you'll see these splay structures, the major objective being the Christina. We hit some splays over here, which was the S71 and S20, and the S05, which I mentioned. We were drilling for the NC, but went through the San Geronimo. And I think the results speak for themselves. Nearly 2 meters at 1.7, 2 meters at over a kilo, and a really nice surprise, which is why we love geology. 29 meters with great base metals and a good silver component. I would love to say that we really were looking for that, but I'll take it if it comes around. But the Christina structure that we were drilling came with some really, really nice results. So plan for the future, we're definitely going to be targeting the eastern portion, the Christina system, the San Geronimo system, and the NC2 extensions. And I think there's great upside for La Colorada at the moment. We continue to work with the tech services and hopefully the future of La Colorada veins.